We are live.
Yay! I am old new dude, and he is.
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son. And hey, look, there's a new theory in the comments. Let's go through this. King just reminded us is resting in the river. Oh, wow, he got tired of riding.
Yeah, it's a long ride.
Yeah, you gotta get tired eventually. Grandma's awake again. Actually, usually the horse would get tired before you would. Grandma's awake again. And new theory: the boar which killed Robert is the McRib my son just promised me for Saturday. So uh, that's that's what they make McRib out of. I'd heard it was some sort of
Thirsty though, because he wants to
chemical that
go.
was non-biodegradable or something. But anyway,
It's funny. If you believe the theory, which I do, that the boar was skin changed, then Cersei is eating a part of, I think, Littlefinger. That he's the one that skin changed the boar, in my mind.
well, I
So
mean, he's the one that most wanted it to be successful, who you view as having more power than has been
well,
shown.
I mean, Dorcas wanted a war, but he said it was too soon. Um,
Right.
they weren't ready yet for that. So things that
Right.
were
He was supposed to
happening.
be delayed. He was specifically, Illyria was like delayed. He's like, I'm trying, I'm trying. So if he's trying to delay, he's not going to be speeding things
So
up. So
the one that wanted the war, which I think he did the long distance skin changing thing, to set up the killing of Bran,
well,
which
and we've talked before that we don't actually think that it doesn't seem like distance makes much difference to skin changers, right? They
yeah,
seem to have
I
these
mean,
dreams when their wolves are far away from them. It's not just
yeah,
Arya.
Arya is a prime example that
It's just
there's
the best
no.
example.
Yes. Also, on that example, it would be, I would have to go back and read, um, if there's any mentioning of what kind of moon there is, because with like Lady Thistle, I told her my theory was just talking about, we're talking about Arya's 3 days of the new moon back at the House of Black and White, and I said, well, that's the reason is line of sight. It's the same theory that was in Independence Day, that the aliens were using human satellites to bounce signals. Well, I was saying that the skin changers and the other mystical people are using the moon to bounce signals, because the signals don't curve with the Earth; they would just go straight like a laser. Um,
Yeah, but in the new moon, I mean, the moon's still up 12
yeah,
hours a day. It's just up when the sun is up.
right. But that's when she goes in, because there's no satellite overhead for them to bounce their signals overnight. And so instead of using the moon to gather information, the Quiet Brother is using Arya and others that are coming back to the House of Black and White, which we don't know how many there could be possibly in the city, bringing back information that he might not already know.
Yeah, and there might be solar interference to the point where you can only use it when it's nighttime, and then since it's not really up at night when you have a new moon, it's up with
Yeah, well, I
pretty
mean,
much with the sun.
during the day, I mean, chances are, if you're in sight or close enough to the thing that you're going to skin change, easy peasy lemon squeezy. But over the night at long distances, maybe they can't do it during the day. It has to be at night. It has to be reflected off the moon.
There's
It's
still been some things in these recent advanced chapters, even though it seems like in Storm he seemed to kind of realize how the moon worked, um, despite very clearly not understanding it in the beginning of the story, especially with the
I mean,
prologue.
yeah,
There's still some hints that he still keeps thinking of it to himself as the moon rising at night.
right. It's
Because,
probably in the
of
back of
course,
his mind on speaking about the moons. He uses the moons to try to coordinate things that are happening in different areas, even though they might be a couple of chapters apart. They could possibly be happening at the same time, just by.
but yeah, in the recent, some of the recent John chapters, or maybe it was even Asha's chapter. There's something where it sounds like the moon is going to be rising, like because it's going to be evening, and it's like, I mean, if it's full, yeah. Otherwise, anyway,
Yeah.
um, because as we have discussed, the way the moon works is it's slowly moving around the Earth to the point where it's much more slow than a day, which means that how much of it is illuminated is based on where it is in position to the sun, which
Right.
means that it's full when it's on the other side of the sun, which means it's rising and setting when the sun is setting and rising. It's on the opposite, right? And
Right.
that's that's literally how the moon works.
Right.
All right. Well, let's continue on with Blue Lemon's part 6 of her Howlin' Reed and the Hound and the elder brother here.
Yeah. Is it Byron the Beautiful and Morgoth?
Morgoth the Mary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and of course, it's Shadrick, obviously. that's
Yeah.
kind of the main. That's kind of the main thing about this. Anyway,
I just watched the video of Conor McGregor, and as soon as the video came on, I'm like, okay, that's Shadrick the Mad Mouse, just a little bit taller.
all right. Brienne's symbolic journey down the acorn and ivy paths. By acorn and ivy paths, I'm referring to the two parallel dresses both Sansa and Arya have worn. Oh, interesting. Sansa's is embroidered with ivy, and Arya's is embroidered with acorns, both on the bodices and over their hearts. This is about their true identities inside, despite their outward appearances. Arya, who has struggled with issues of acceptance and seen herself as beautiful, is admired by Gendry and called pretty by Lady Smallwood while wearing her acorn dress. By her likeness to Lyanna and her association with swans, she will grow into a beauty all her own. Okay, the swan is the ugly duckling, so okay, that makes sense. Sansa is
Mhm.
dressing modestly for her bastard status, but the vines and leaves are embroidered in gold. Again, Sansa equated with gold thread. She also chooses to wear as her only adornment an autumn gold ribbon with her practical wool dress when she cannot wear starker Tully colors. So she chooses her own colors and styling that are reminiscent of Sandor telling her the story of his house sigil. Oh, interesting. The only
Wow.
other time autumn is used as a descriptive of gold or yellow in the series. Huh. Okay. The only other time autumn is used as a descriptive of gold or yellow in the series. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Ivy and
Isn't
acorns.
did someone tell Arya that she could be basically a world famous courtesan or whatever it is?
Oh, that's one of the choices that they give her at the House of Black and White when they.
Right. So I mean,
It,
it's a hint on how her outward appearance is changing to the more beautiful. She's growing into her face type situation, and they're looking at her going,
sure.
"This girl's gonna be beautiful." So I mean,
Yeah, makes sense. Um, the signposts were never for Brienne to read; they were for the reader. Food symbolism and animal descriptiveness. The animal descriptives will be particularly important. It starts right from the jump and tells us exactly where Brienne will end. In Brienne 1, and he loves the first chapter of a character to tell you what he has in mind for them. When she chances upon the con men, Sir Creighton and Sir Illifert, they offer her to share their meal of grilled trout. As if grilling trout weren't enough of a bad sign in the Tully Riverlands, it's a reference to the dead trout Lady Stoneheart that Brienne will meet. The next morning, Bran sees Illifert skinning a squirrel and Creighton pissing on a tree. Okay. They break their fast on squirrel, acorn paste, and pickles. With the tree, those are clearly symbols related to Arya, and the pickles likely being a euphemism for her very difficult position with Lady Stoneheart. The next meal she shares is the goat on the spit at the inn at the old stone bridge after she crosses paths with Sir Shadrick, and he warns her of the company she's keeping. Brienne will later be encountering the slobbering goats, aka Vargo Hoat's men, Shagwell, Timian, and Pig. We'll go into more detail with that later. It's leaving the inn and going to Duskendale alone where Brienne will find the first major clue for the reader of the Ivy and Acorn path. In Brienne 2, when she's seeking to have her Lost-in shield repainted by the captain's sister, she has a good look at the mural upon the doors of the Seven Swords Inn, which has very interesting features. They showed a castle in an autumn wood, the trees done up in shades of gold and russet ivy, crawled up the trunks of ancient oaks, and even the acorns had been done with loving care. When Brienne peered more closely, she saw creatures in the foliage, a sly red fox, two sparrows on a branch, and behind those leaves the shadow of a boar. Okay.
Right.
At the time of the winds of winter chapter, it is autumn and winter wheat is ripening. The timing is ripe for harvesting the seeds of winter sown at the gates of the moon. Gold is paired with reddish brown, as in Sansa's red hair covered by brown. We have the ivy and the acorns featured.
Oh
But look,
shit! Did you catch that? The fox and the two sparrows. All right, the fox is Shadrick. Okay, red fox, red
sorry,
hair. Fox,
two
so the
sparrows on
two
a
sparrows.
branch.
You got the elder brother from the Quiet Owl, which is Septon, and they're called sparrows now. And then Sandor Clegane is
Was
part
the
of
brave digger, so he's part of the Quiet Isle.
they're both technically in this time frame of the story could be considered sparrows because they were wearing the brown rough spun and I mean, granted, Sandor I don't think is full fledged following the seven type situation, but they were part of a religious outpost, basically. Um, that you could call them sparrows, maybe.
Yeah, she thinks it's Maribold and the elder brother, I think. But okay,
My bad. She
no,
knows probably
no,
more than
no, no. I mean, no, I like your idea that it's actually a sly red fox, two sparrows on a branch, and behind those leaves the shadow of a boar. And I'm not sure what she's going to say the boar is, but you could view this whole thing as the shadow cast by the boar killing Robert, right? The whole War
right.
of the Five Kings and
That
the
mentioned
situation.
right. Yeah, I
So I
like
don't know
that.
what she's going to say it is, but um, all right.
Well,
Well,
don't
let's
tell
get
them I
there. Let's find
disagree
out.
with
Let's
her.
find out what she says about these
Yeah.
things.
All right.
Uh, looking closely, Brent sees the hidden animal figures in particularly significant order. Crossing a path between Team Brienne and Team Shadrick is for mutual benefit, serving to spur each party toward their respective paths. The sly red fox is Foxface Sir Shadrick, obviously, who Brienne meets first. We'll see another fox again later. The two sparrows being a euphemism for the sparrows, the humblest members of Faithful Seven. She meets Stefan Maribold and is led to the elder brother, who redirects her from her pursuit of the hound and reveals she's actually been chasing Arya, not Sansa. The boar's not actually seen, only its shadow, as glamours are made of shadow and suggestion, and it hidden behind the leaves. The face covered in leaves is a classic green goddess depiction, also as hunters in the wood like Herne the Hunter and Cernunnos. The most significant appearance of a boar in the series is the mortal wounding of Robert Baratheon. There you go, the instrument for upheaval and sudden regime change. Recall it
Okay.
while Robert was plied with strong wine while hunting. It was Cersei exploiting his natural tendencies to ensure his death. Very same tactics we saw in Peter's Solar at the first meeting of the Hedge Knights. Regime change is hidden and is coming for the Lord Protector. Another significance of the boar
Her
is Norse
analogy
mythology.
would still work with mine because she calls Maribol and the elder brother sparrows. I just replaced
Yeah,
Maribol with the
yeah.
hound.
You just said, hey, what
And,
about the fact that which I like.
yeah.
Um,
So we're thinking the same thing. It's just I got two
yeah,
different people.
yeah,
One
yeah.
different person. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Sorry.
Another significance of the boar is Norse mythology is the Hildisvini, or battle swine that belongs to Freya, whose name means lady. The boar is actually her devotee, Ottar. His name is believed to be a version of Freya's husband, or whatever, which is also a version of Odin. Okay. It should also be no coincidence that right after leaving her shield to be painted, Brienne hears the story of Barristan Selmy's one-man daring rescue of King Aerys at Duskendale. But more important than that is her next meal and meeting with the pious dwarf at the Seven Swords Inn. A meal of hot crab stew is shared, and of course you could argue that that's one of the two. But anyway, a meal of hot crab stew is shared between them, and Brienne gets her next lead to the stinking wild goose chase, to find the man that fool to fool. Pay attention to the dwarf's features and his story. More Odin connection, lol, says King Tristram reminder. Not
Yeah.
until he hopped off the bench did Brienne realize that the speaker was a dwarf. The little man was not quite 5 feet tall. His nose was veined and bulbous, his teeth red from sour leaf, and he was dressed in the brown rough-done robes of a holy brother, with the iron hammer of the smith dangling down about his thick neck. You serve some holy house in Duskendale, brother? 'Twas near Maidenpool, my lady, but the wolves burned us out, the man replied, gnawing on a heel of bread. We rebuilt as best we could, until some sellswords came. I could not say whose men they were. Well, of course, they were switching sides, so they were both. But they took our pigs and killed the brothers. I squeezed inside a hollow log and hid, but the others were too big. It took me a long time to bury them all. But the smith, he gave me strength. When that was done, I dug up a few coins the elder brother had hid by and set off by myself. Okay. His detail his detailed features are a perfect amalgamation of Shadrach, the elder brother, Septon Maribold, and the gravedigger. He's about Shadrach's height. He has elder brother's veiny, bulbous nose. He wears the rough spine of a holy brother. He favors the smith like Septon Maribold. He hid in a tree like a Cranagman, or like Wex. He dug graves like the gravedigger and has a burly, thick neck. Um, Toodles often talks about these kind of characters as being these signposts that are supposed to tie different people together for us as well. So they're both kind of on the same line of thinking here. The outlaws that attacked his sceptry were looking for coins like gold dragons that their elder brother had hidden before he was killed, which it also reminds us of the Tickler and who's
He dug up
side.
coins, and Brienne is going to bury coins.
Yeah, good point. With the feature of sour leaf and the red smile, this does not bode well for particularly our elder brother as Morgarth, a dead Garth. This particular dwarf is also beheaded and taken to King's Landing, which I think might have more to do with that, but okay. To claim the reward for Tyrion, Sansa's supposed accomplice in regicide. The most important thing here is that elder brother, Septon Maribold, and Sandor are helpers, and are twice symbolically grouped together with Sir Shadrach, Hal, and Reed in the mural and in this dwarf. The hot crab stew obviously points to her next significant part of the journey with Nimble Dick Crab, from the lead she received from the pious dwarf. Note also he doesn't want any monetary reward for his help, only the bowl of crab stew. Following Nimble Dick Crab, she will hear the tale of Sir Clarence Crab as they travel up Crocklaw Point. We're supposed to draw parallels between Brienne and the legendary knight in her battle with the Bloody Mummers. Yeah, absolutely. Is when she realizes she needs to pull out her magic sword. It's also demonstrating that she's learned from listening to Nimble Dick. Clarence Crab is extremely tall. That was my side. With a magic sword, takes the heads of his foes back to his woods witch wife to bring them back to life and elicit their good counsel. The ruins of Crab's ancestral castle, called the Whispers, which is covered in ivy, they'll finally meet Shagwell, Timian, and Pig. Nimble Dick will be killed after comparing himself to Clarence Crab, and Brienne will slay the outlaws with her magic sword, Oathkeeper. Before that, they will give her good counsel of reporting that the Hound has the Stark girl she is seeking at the Salt Pans. Harold Hunt takes the heads of the outlaws back to Maidenpool to speak to Brienne's bravery and skill. So Nimble Dick was not the real Crab here. It was the maiden Brienne. And with Nimble Dick's death at the Whispers, the ivy path has literally reached a dead end for Brienne. She's now unknowingly on the acorn path to Arya when they meet Septon Maribold back at Maidenpool. Okay. The association of crabs with maidens makes even more sense when we consider they are tidal creatures, which are related to the moon and goddess symbolism. Think of the crab as the astrological sign Cancer, which is associated with the moon. Moon is God, woman, wife of sun. It is known. Other tidal shellfish that have feminine associations are clams for their comparison to female genitalia. Arya also has her association with shellfish as cat of the canals in her arc, but Sansa is the only maiden at the gates of the moon, also a female metaphor. As Egret explained to Jon, the ideal time for stealing a wife is when the thief is in the moon maiden. The astrological mythology is important. The stallion, like Stranger, is called the Horn Lord by the Free Folk, connecting more Green Man symbolism to Sandor. The Red Wanderer, as an analog to Mars, the planet and god of war, is sacred to the smith, the laborer, such as the gravedigger, and is also called the thief. Sansa is the Moon Maiden, as she is also associated with moonstone jewelry and the crab. We will soon see who really finds the crab on Brienne's path, which of course is Shadrach. In Brienne 5, Brienne, Podrick, and Hyle Hunt join with Septon Maribold and Dog, who has not revealed his true name, is a huge beast, and like Sandor, he is his own dog. He uses his knowledge of the region to find the hound that supposedly has Sansa. Podrick also tells of his own dog named Hero, who wasn't actually a hero, but he died a good dog. The terrain they are traveling has descriptive features that we should take note of. The lands they traveled through were low and wet, a wilderness of sandy dunes and salt marshes beneath a vast blue-gray vault of sky. The road was prone to vanishing amongst the reeds and tidal pools, only to appear again a mile farther on. Without Maribald, Brienne knew, they surely would have lost their way. The ground was often soft, so in places the septon would walk ahead, tapping with his quarterstaff to make certain of the footing. There were no trees for leagues around, just sea and sky and sand. No land could have been more different from Tarth, with its mountains and waterfalls, its high meadows and shadowed vales. Yet this place had its own beauty, Brienne thought. They crossed a dozen slow-flowing streams, alive with frogs and crickets, watched terns floating high above the bay, heard the sandpipers calling from amongst the dunes. Once a fox crossed their path and set Maribald's dog to barking wildly. Hmm. Hmm. And
Yeah.
and you could interpret that beauty line. She kind of says basically she's talking about Tarth and shadowed vales, and
Mhm.
then she says, "But this place has its own beauty." Well, the beauty she's really looking for is off in the Vale, but as you just said, there is another Stark beauty who was in the Riverlands when she was searching.
Right.
Although she's actually left at this point, but
Yeah, I don't know the time.
they are navigating through the wetlands where they must check their footing, a slightly less dangerous version of the neck. They'd be lost without an experienced guide. They're amongst the reeds, and the land is alive with frogs, pointing to Howland Reed and the derogatory association with Cranningmen as frog eaters and mudmen. Most telling of all, it is a fox that crosses their path and sets dog to barking. In part 3, I mentioned the fox association to the kitsune, who can create elaborate illusions. It's dogs that are able to see through a kitsune's illusions and unmask them, because a dog can smell a lie. What's important here is that we have the fox crossing paths with the dog and holy man. Yes, Sir Stadrick has definitely followed Brienne to the Quiet Isle. Now look at the very next passage. And there were people, too. Some lived amongst the reeds in houses built of mud and straw, whilst others fished the bay in leather coracles and built their homes on rickety wooden stilts above the dunes. Most seemed to live alone, out of sight of any human habitation but their own. They seemed a shy folk, for the most part, but near midday the dog began to bark again, and 3 women emerged from the reeds to give Maribald a woven basket full of clams. Gave each of them an orange in return, though clams were as common as mud in this world, and oranges were rare and costly. One of the women was very old, one was heavy with child, and one was a girl as fresh and pretty as a flower in spring. When Maribald took them off to hear their sins, Sir Hyle chuckled and said, "It would seem the gods walk with us, at least the maiden, the mother, and the crone." Potter looked so astonished that Brienne had to tell him no, they were only 3 marshwomen. We have the repetition of being among the reeds 2 more times, and now we have even more allusions to Crannogmen, with their, according to Mira, little skin boats, being a shy folk, living closely among themselves. They were yet untouched by the war here, like in the neck. What dog barks at should be taken as something we need to pay attention to. Dog's barking alerts them to the presence of the woman. Jerem is very bluntly making sure the reader sees the 3 women as 3 incarnations of the goddess. But he doesn't want you to read it that way literally by Brienne's response. So who are symbolic goddesses relevant to the people in the story arc? The crone is Lady Stoneheart, the mother is Lyanna Stark, the girl is the maiden Sansa. All of these women in the past needed help, and the helper fell short to some degree. Brienne swore to Catelyn to find her daughters, and she'll find herself held accountable for her failure by Lady Stoneheart. Howland Reed was there with Ned when they failed to reach Lyanna in time to save her. He sent his children to help Bran, and Ned's only other known living child is in danger. Sandor promised he would help take Sansa home and keep her safe, but his mental state was too volatile to even protect himself. It's too late to save Catelyn and Lyanna, but it isn't too late for Sansa. This is about renewing old vows and making good on past failures. We've already seen the way oranges are used to express help freely given as a loving act. They're exchanged for common as mud clams, pointing to the bastard-born Elaine with her rare copper hair blotted out by common brown dye. As an alternative interpretation that works equally well, the crone is Lady Stoneheart, the mother is Sansa, and her surrogate mother role is Sweet Robin, and the maid is Arya. At this time, Arya is in her Cat of the Canals persona, and she is heavily connected to clams and mussels. Brienne, with Septon Maribald's guidance, is inadvertently sending help in three directions associated with each goddess aspect. As she is on her way to the Quiet Isle, this represents an intersection of the Acorn and Ivy path, which we will see again on the Isle. She leads Shadrach to his special ops team and motivates the elder brother to action. Brienne is heading toward Lady Stoneheart, the Brotherhood Without Banners, and Gendry, a convergence of people from Arya's arc. She still needs to fulfill her oath to Catelyn. She has relevant information on Gendry's parentage. When Arya returns to Westeros, we should expect to see her reconnect here. The mayhem in the Riverlands still needs to be set right, and Brienne is gaining a reputation for putting down outlaws. Along their path to the Quiet Isle, Dog leads the way, sniffing at every clump of reeds and stopping every now and then to piss on one. This doesn't
Hey,
speak well of a
if it is Arya that gives Stoneheart the gift of mercy, then if Stoneheart's still in that area, then she's meeting up with Gendry again, right? Isn't that what I just said?
She said that Brienne will meet up with Arya, I think is what she's saying.
Oh, well, I mean, when Brienne comes back with the golden hand.
I want to remind you real quick of the pattern I keep pointing out in this book that we've seen over and over again, which is, and I don't know that everybody fully discusses the full pattern, but I know we have talked about this. But you often see in this series moments when there's people who are sort of under siege, and one example of this is Cat when they're finally rescued on their way to the Vale. Another example of this is Theon at Winterfell, King Aerys. Anyway, there's lots of examples of this where people are basically under siege. Somebody shows up of questionable loyalty, usually led by somebody who's dead or believed dead, like or kind of dead to them, like in case of Tywin with Aerys. And as I said, of questionable loyalty, where they're not sure whose side they're on when they first show up, and sometimes they're on one side, sometimes they're on the other, sometimes they're pretending to be on one side and then they turn out to be on the other. And then usually immediately after this, either somebody who's a sworn sword to them or a Kingsguard attacks.
Okay.
Attacks them, turns on them, and so Ramsay Ramsay as Reek is the first sword who swears his sword to Theon. Right. And then and of course Ramsay is dead, but Ramsay leads the army. Renly is dead, and Renly leads the army. And anyway, and then immediately it's a sworn sword or a Kingsguard turns on the person. So I think Brienne has to turn on Lady Stoneheart based upon the path. Okay, but I know people say, I know that there's a lot of people who think Arya needs to kill Lady Stoneheart and give the gift of mercy to her. But I really think it has to be Brienne. Brienne has to fulfill, her Jaime Lannister parallel of realizing that swearing your sword to someone, you still have to be on the lookout for them not living up to morality, and you're responsible for that, right?
That oath died when Cat died. I think it's what it's going to come to. Is Brienne's going to realize my oath to her it died when she died.
And more important is that the whole philosophy of being the sworn sword to someone and surrendering your morality to what they order. This idea that the highest goal is to be loyal to someone when that person may not be giving you good, may not be good.
Right. Well, I mean, we were told, like in Dunkin' Eggs, there are lords and then there are lords. So I mean,
in the Book of the New Sun, they think that the only people who are truly honorable are the torturers who wear the pure cloak, because they are willing to obey sadists, right? And if you're not willing to torture, then are you really loyal? And therefore, are you really honorable? And therefore, the only people who are really honorable are the torturers. So, and of course, it's of course the story is about him realizing this is bad. This is not the way things should be, right? And eventually he's ordered to execute a woman, and he's already had sex with her, and he's like no, and, which is of course egret, some kind of parallel, right?
Right.
Um, but anyway, um, and that's kind of when he fully abandons the guild at that point, basically. You can't spoil a Gene Wolfe story. A Gene Wolfe story barely spoils itself. You have to reread and reread and reread before you have any idea what's really going on. Anyway, you can't reread a Gene Wolfe story. You can only reread a Gene Wolfe story. Those are quotes from Rereading Wolf.
Ah.
And as I have brought up many times, Gene Wolfe is George's mentor. As George said, he had two mentors in his writer's workshop. He specifically said this when Gene Wolfe passed. He said Gene Wolfe was one of my two mentors. So anyway, let's get back to
Right.
let's get back to things here. Where was I exactly? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This doesn't speak well of a liking between Howland and Sandor, more of a strange bedfellow relationship in their common cause. Can't you just hear Sandor saying, "Piss on that, Reed"? One of these passages, it's Dog's job to sniff things out along the path because a dog can smell a lie, just as a Sandor's task to see through Littlefinger's lies in the disguise that is Elaine Stone. Now see what happens when they're navigating the dangerous muddy ground around the Isle at low tide. Soft brown mud squished up between his toes. As he walked, he paused from time to time to probe ahead with his quarterstaff. Dog stayed near his heels, sniffing at every rock, shell, and clump of seaweed. For once, he did not bound ahead or stray. Brienne followed, taking care to keep close to the line of prints left by the dog, the donkey, and the holy man. Then came Podrick, and last of all Sir Hyle. 100 yards out, Maribald turned abruptly toward the south, so his back was almost to the septry. He proceeded in that direction for another 100 yards, leading them between two shallow tidal pools. The dog stuck his nose in one and yelped when a crab pinched it with his claw. A brief but furious struggle ensued before the dog came trotting back, wet and mud-spattered, with the crab between his jaws. The dog is forced to trust in the guidance of the holy man while he's sniffing around. He is not bound ahead and or stray in the fervor of the search. The plan in the Vale requires months of patience in avoiding detection. It's dog that finds the crab hidden in the low tidal pool, the gates of the moon. The pinched nose and the brief struggle before successfully carrying off the crab is highly evocative of wife stealing. If there was still any uncertainty left about Dog's association with Sandor, the author drives the point home. When Dog went to sniff the gravedigger, he dropped his spade and scratched his ear. Sandor is, of course, missing an ear, and this will come up again when we look at Stranger in the stables. I like it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it actually the brief struggle represents Sansa fighting the Hound, rescuing her from the Vale, and him succeeding after a brief struggle and successfully carrying off Sansa. Okay. Okay, that's interesting.
And killing Elaine Stone.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not uh, Elaine Stone anymore.
Okay, your
We
point is the crab is actually dead at that point, and they're getting rid of the Elaine Stone persona as part of that. Okay, okay, I like that.
That person is dead, and then she
But the
returns again.
implication of a brief struggle is that he actually kills the crab.
Right.
And your point is, and that's the end of Elaine Stone. Okay, I like it.
Oh man, I could see another road trip, just like Sandor and Arya, which is the best part of the TV show for sure. Especially the chicken. But I could see another smaller road trip with Sansa and her still playing the daughter of Littlefinger, and it's kind of like um, trying to rewire her brain un what's the term um, uh, uh, she's still being Elaine
Brainwashing.
Stone. What's that?
Brainwashing.
Brain,
Yeah. Okay.
unbrainwashing Sansa from the Elaine Stone, Littlefinger things that were going on to be back to full fledged Sansa. That could be a struggle. I mean, I could see that being we know how the Hound talks, and then once the persona of Byron the Beautiful is gone, then you got the rough, gruff of Hound again, and him just constantly um, getting onto her basically and talking shit uh, about her still acting like Elaine Stone or acting like, or you're acting like just like Littlefinger. Him keep pointing it out to where eventually you get Sansa being Sansa again, a smarter Sansa, but the little bird that he knew before all this happened, or something like that.
I love this analysis, by the way. I want to point, like, we're more in the vein of Toodles, and I love this analysis. You see what I'm saying? I love the fact that we're pairing this. Sansa is Satan, says Blake Underwood, and yeah, that was actually specifically in our last live stream. That tie-in between those two words was mentioned,
Yeah,
and and of course. Sansa is supposed to start off as Satan. I don't think she's supposed to continue to be Satan, but especially given that his first thought when he first created her was that she was going to be a complete Lannister toady who completely turned on the Starks, right? So
right.
when he named her, that was what he thought she was, and she's still supposed to start off that way and then have a growth arc for us, right? And
Right.
in my opinion, the three biggest growth arcs, and I think we're in agreement on this. We talked about this before, are Jaime, Theon, and Sansa. Loving Joffrey is a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's realized that. That's kind of our point, right? Um, and
Would
she
you say
wasn't supposed to realize that.
would you say the
What
three best growths were character growth?
the three best growth arcs?
Yeah.
Uh, Jamie, of course,
Right.
and Theon, and definitely Sansa.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I the
Oh, you didn't
Tyrion.
know about the original? You didn't know the original plan was that she was supposed to? Yeah, yeah. If you look at George's original outline that he submitted to get the book approved and so forth, yeah, the plan was for her to be completely villainous. She was supposed to be torn and choose the Lannisters over the Starks in his original.
Redheaded Cersei.
Yeah, in his original, she was yeah, she was definitely yeah, she was supposed to choose her 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 family, her new family, the Lannisters, over the Starks.
The 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 the, the enticement of being queen and power and all that. Um, just like Cersei was be willing to put up with a lot to get what you wanted.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know this outline went far enough to, by the time
Right.
he was
I'm speculating.
by the time he wrote the first book, he's already, and so had he thought through what was going to happen to her, with the 5-year gap and everything, I don't know.
Mhm.
The other thing that people don't seem to realize is that people almost always get wrong is that Darkstar was created for the 5-year gap, not because of the 5-year gap. Darkstar was created in the original prologue with the 5-year gap was where
Okay.
Darkstar was created, and so people are constantly saying Darkstar was created to take over Ned Dane's role, and that doesn't mean he hasn't been reassigned Ned Dane's role
Hmm.
after the 5-year gap was removed, but he was created pretty much as he exists today with the 5-year gap in place in the
Okay.
prologue, in the original prologue to Feast. So that's the
Mhm.
other big thing that people don't seem to realize about characters that are because you hear people all the time say, "Oh, he had to create Darkstar because he didn't have the 5-year gap." No, he created Darkstar for the 5-year gap. He specifically created Darkstar for the 5-year gap. So
Mhm.
anyway, oh, where were we here? Sir Hyle gave the big horse an admiring look as he was. Anyway, what I was saying was, we really like Toodles analysis, and I do think that he's right about. Is Darkstar even still? Yeah, I don't know where for certain where Darkstar is. I mean, I assume he's at is it High Hermitage? Is that the name of his castle? What
I
was he
can't
supposed to
remember.
do after the gap? Um, I don't. So So we don't know because he wrote the prologue for the 5 Year Gap, and he started to write, and he pretty early gave up on it. The 5 Year Gap. It appears to have only existed for about 6 months of his work on Feast, like the very beginning of it, and then as he was working on the prologue, he's just like no. He scrapped the idea. So he really didn't get past the prologue with the 5 Year Gap. So we don't know anything about what his role was beyond that.
Now, I mean, most speculate that Dark Star is going to be the reason Dawn makes it to the wall.
Right.
I don't know if
and the other
get
thing,
all the way there because there's going to be a retreat. There's got to be a retreat. So
I also don't see. I also don't see any evidence whatsoever of a schism in the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is made up of thousands of people, of very few of whom we see in the appendix. But you see in the appendix some of the people that are by themselves, like the guy with the what's the hunt is he? What's the name of the guy with the hunting hounds? Anyway, the point is, they call him something like the Mad Huntsman or something. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, the point is, the point.
No sound. No sound.
Yeah, it always happens. Anyway, the point is, my point is, can you say something real quick?
Good.
Say something. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Bluetooth always cuts out on me at some point, and then it immediately reconnects, but then this StreamYard never goes back to it. Anyway, it's annoying because then the volume winds up getting turned way down. It's one of the reasons why I was trying to do it without that, but then people complain about the phone is too close to the fan or whatever. I can't. People complain about our audio, but
I mean, I think
it's better without the mic. But anyway, my point is that there's thousands of members of the Brotherhood. They're constantly splitting up into small bands, usually with people pretending to be Barrack. We see this. We see that they have lots of people pretending to be Barrack. And yes, people do pretend to be other people in this series all the time, which is one of the reasons why there really should be lots of theories about so and so and so and so and so forth. But we've got 3 hounds at least. We've got I think we've seen like 3 different Barracks. If you pay attention to people posing as Barrack and arguing over who should be Barrack.
That don't know that Barrack Targaryen's dead. I mean,
with the thousands of people in the Brotherhood, and with them deliberately already having people pose as Barrack before he dies, right? We see the fact that there are people posing as Barrack. There's people after he dies fighting over whose turn is it to pretend to be Barrack Dondarrion.
Right.
But anyway, the point is that if you were in the Brotherhood, you're constantly splitting up and so forth. And some of these people who are now with Thoros are people that we know aren't supposed to be with Thoros, because like Lem is in the group that finds Arya that has to find the group with Thoros in it, right?
Right.
And now Lem is with Thoros, even though they weren't even in the same of the little bands that split up. They weren't even in the same little band. So they're constantly divided up into different little bands, splitting up, reuniting, looking for each other, and so forth. We know this because we've seen it. And so when they say we parted or we went different separate ways or whatever, yes, that's what they do. That doesn't mean that they're now at war with each other or some great schism, as the fandom seems to think. Anyway, sorry, I got way off topic on my high horse about things that people don't seem to recognize.
We talked about that last, or maybe Monday, about getting off topic. It's real easy to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we want to do on Wednesdays, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, early for hour 2 of theories. I really do have to stop kind of on time today, guys. I got some stuff I gotta get done.
Yeah, same here. The wife got up at 12:30 last night to go into work, so she's home now and taking a nap. So
the reason I was thinking about that was we were talking about we were kind of alluding to Ned Dane and whether Ned Dane had this role, and people were like, oh, Ned Dane went back to Starfall. I'm like, Did he? I don't see that in the text anywhere. What I see is that the Brotherhood always splits up into different little bands, and they're always going their separate ways. And that he's done that, and he's, as far as I can tell, he's still in the Brotherhood. He's just Beaver too early. Anyway, never too early. Okay, that makes more sense.
Wow, my phone
Beaver
is
too early. I was wondering what Beaver was. Maybe I meant Eager Beaver. Anyway.
yeah, I'm playing
Can we continue?
My battery because I'm getting really. I don't know why I'm so low. It was charged before this
Your
started.
battery's low?
Yeah, I never run out of battery.
Do you need to plug in? What's going on?
I don't have a plug anywhere near or even a spot to plug into.
I thought it was
We'll make
Eager
it.
Beaver too.
Yeah,
All right, well, maybe we'll just let me get back on topic, and it sounds like we may wind up be less than an hour today, Bob.
Yeah. Bob jinxed us because as soon as he said that, then I got the little ding.
Oh no!
So yeah, great way to go, Bob.
Yeah, it's all Bob's fault. Obviously, he magically made your battery deplete.
Yeah, it's not my fault, but yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. If it right before it cuts out, if I have to, I'll hit the end button.
This is Bob. All right, let's get back on topic. But anyway, I'm off topic because I was thinking about Dark Star versus Ned Dane, and then it reminded me that that people think Ned Dane is like gone back to Starfall, and I don't. But anyway, you've got a new subscriber. Good work, y'all. Regardless, it's Blake Underwood. Well, good. Glad to have you, Blake.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Blake.
Sir Hyle gave the big horse an admiring look as he was handing his reins to Brother Gillum. A handsome beast. Brother Norbert sighed. The 7 sent us blessings and the 7 sent us trials. Handsome he may be, but Driftwood was surely whelped in hell. When we sought to harness him to a plow, he kicked Brother Ramney and broke his shin bone in 2 places. We'd hoped gelding might improve the beast's ill temper, but Brother Gillum, will you show them? Brother Gillum lowered his cowl. Underneath he had a mop of blonde hair, a tonsured scalp, and a blood-stained bandage where he should have had an ear. Oh, wow. Cheers, Blake. And of course, this idea of a bandage where you should have had an ear is just in case you didn't know. This is
right.
Anyway, under the cowl of the Holy Brother is blonde hair. Under the blonde hair is a missing ear. The perfect description of the masked Sandor hides true identity behind. Remember Isingram, who I mentioned in part 3 as a character in Reynard the Fox stories? Here we have the wolf or beast in monk's robes who is not as godly as they would like him to be. Handsome is repeated twice, but he's a beast, refusing to be gelded and tamed into a plow horse. They tried to rename him Driftwood and insist that he is a plow horse, turning him into something he is not. What happens to Driftwood when it washes up on the Quiet Isle? It gets transformed into something new and is polished till it shines a deep gold. Or, in other words, it is made blonde and elegant. Oh, I like that.
I like that too, man. I like that a lot.
Yeah. The meal they share with the elder brother and in the presence of the gravedigger marks the last meeting between the Acorn and Ivy Path travelers. The next day, Brienne will finally head towards her final 2 chapters, meeting Gendry, Lady Stoneheart, and the Brotherhood Without Banners. It will be left to the characters on the Isle to resume the Ivy Path. Their supper in the Sceptry was as strange a meal as Brienne had ever eaten, though not at all unpleasant. The food was plain, but very good. There were loaves of crusty bread still warm from the ovens, crocks of fresh churned butter, honey from the Sceptry's hives, and a thick stew of crabs, mussels, and at least 3 different kinds of fish. Just what exactly are we supposed to find strange about this meal? That is a curious word to use and doesn't appear to make sense at all in context. There's nothing particularly strange about bread, butter, honey, and locally fished seafood stew if we take it literally. The stew is the last juncture of the Acorn and Ivy paths before paths diverge again. We have the crabs and mussels, with mussels featured heavily in Arya's A Dance with Dragons arc. Bread and honey have associations with Catelyn. Strange can also hint to the presence of the stranger, the god aspect that Sandor most identifies with, more so than warrior. The gravedigger is one of those novices tasked with serving and clearing the food. The stranger has no single depiction of his face. It can be a shadow, an animal shrouded completely, as in the gravediggers, or, as I am proposing, the face of a blonde gallant knight. We've already seen how Sandor will play a pivotal role on the Hedge Knight team as the only one that can ID Sansa. In a stew, the ingredients all retain their own flavors, but are together in a common broth.
There are also 3 different kinds of fish, like our 3 very different hedge knights. I would also expect to see on the acorn team Arya's own different kinds of fish coming together. It's not the literal meal that we are supposed to see as strange, but the people the ingredients represent. Our hedge knights might be strange, but in the end, the maiden finds them very good. Um, might want to stop there for this analysis.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I could maybe try and continue, but if your battery's dying and stuff, what do you think?
Yeah, we'll stop there.
All right.
Yeah, I don't
Anything
want
else
it
you
to
want to
cut
talk
off.
about?
I'm trying to think if any pops in my head. Um,
I'm rereading
no,
Kat's chapter where she arrives in King's Landing. A large ship from the Summer Isles with white sails was departing right as they arrive, and I thought it might be important during Easter egg. Yeah, maybe. I mean, for one thing, maybe it's the cinnamon wind. Is
yeah,
it named? I guess it's probably not named. Or the obvious one would be the cinnamon wind, right? Isn't that the name of the Summer Island ship that Sam takes?
yeah, that's the name.
Sam and Gilly, and for a little while he's there before he dies.
George could be using that cinnamon wind. Don't we get almost an exact time frame that it takes to make the run, the spice run, or whatever it is? And if the cinnamon wind is in King's Landing at this point, and we're told how long it takes to do the round, basically, to go here, there, the trade.
Yeah.
If it's found somewhere else in that cycle, then you can kind of guess how much time has passed.
And Bob says the owner says that he owns several boats, so maybe the idea is that it's another boat of the same owner. That's possible.
Yeah,
that's another option.
Yeah,
you're reminding me of the other thing that I feel like isn't much of a mystery, which is we've talked about this too, which is you've got this mystery Targaryen prince that was at the Citadel, right? And I'm like, guys, there's our point of view at the Citadel cares a whole lot about a Targaryen prince who used to be at the Citadel, who specifically tells us that his father was like Randall Tarley and wanted him to be more of a knight and not a maester, and he totally understands because his father was just like Sam's father, and and so it's like, is this really a mystery? There's like Preston thinks that it's like the Blackfire guy that was like killed by Bloodraven to send Bloodraven to the wall, because that would be part of the story. And I'm like, but does that matter to Sam? Like, Sam is our POV at the Citadel, and there's a Targaryen prince that's really important to Sam.
Oh.
Anyway,
I was sitting there trying to think. Could they have sent a Blackfire to the Citadel?
Preston was like, oh, maybe it was like really important to somebody to keep his gauntlet as a souvenir of the fact that Bloodraven executed him. And I was like, and that's why Bloodraven went to the wall. So it's really important to our story. And I'm like, isn't Aemon really important to our POV that's at the Citadel?
I'm thinking about this though. Okay, you're talking about the gauntlet that has the key in it, right? All right.
With
this is
Walgrave. It's Walgrave, right?
Right. Yeah. You have an old Archmaester. What is the night of night from that period?
It feels like he's supposed to get his memory jogged. And
well, I mean, could the gauntlet have been from Dunk? I mean, because you got a really old Archmaester, you got a really old Aemon. They're all around when they're young in the time period of Sir Duncan the Tall. Could the gauntlet have been from Sir Duncan the Tall? And the father that wanted the
Yeah, he was probably
the
going to specifically talk about it in a future Dunkin' Egg or something, right? That's possible.
right. It's probably an Easter egg for a Dunkin'.
Yeah,
Dunkin'
but
egg.
it's from Eamon. I mean,
Yeah. But I mean, also with the father that wanted the son to be a knight and not um a
right,
mason.
right. Sam might be a prince himself. Why did his dad go through such lengths to raise him? Yeah, yeah. Maybe there's something magical about Sam or their blood or something. I do feel like GRM has slipped in enchanted items and artifacts right under our nose. Yeah, that's certainly possible.
I agree with that, Bob. Yeah, for sure.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, I feel like there was something else kind of like that that crossed my mind over the past week that I wanted to bring up, but I've totally forgotten what it was. So, so it's one of those things where I'm like, no, this, yeah, where the fan of a speculative about something like that, and I'm like, guys, I think it's this. Oh, of course, there's the one that we've mentioned might be the case is that and maybe the perfume seneschal is just Dorcas Varys. You know, we call Varys Dorcas because we think Dorcas is Varys, and we thought that before I read the Book of the New Sun.
Right.
And after reading the Book of the New Sun, I went from 90% sure to like 99% sure.
All the brothers on the Quiet Owl are skin changers.
All the what on the Quiet Owl? Sorry.
All the brothers on the Quiet Owl are skin changers.
Okay.
You got the Hound paying attention and knowing when they can have fun or when they can chase or when they have to follow on the heels of the master. That might hint at some type of communication between the two. They bring Sandor Clegane into the fold, and we've both speculated, and everybody, that he is a skin changer, or at least skin changer adjacent, with his connection to his horse on some of the things that they are doing. It's a quiet owl. They're not talking. There has to be some type of communication going on with them. So, I mean, skin changing is a way of possibly communicating without talking. And then you have the elder brother and then the one other brother that are allowed to talk, or they're allowed to talk on certain days or whatever it is. But everybody on the Quiet Owl is skin changers. I don't know. They just popped in my head.
It stuck out to me the lion's tooth may have been what the Cranningmen were after when Arya threw it in the river. Does it ever get recovered? I mean, that's an interesting theory that they may. I mean, that they might be able to is an interesting theory. Now, would they give it to the Lannisters? Probably not, right? So, whether there's anything really special about it's another question either. So I don't know. I don't know that's all that special of a sword, to be honest. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the scattering of enchanted items, there might be more to the sword than we know. Robert doesn't make a big deal about it because he's Robert. So he might not know that it might be a special item. I agree. It could be something that comes up later that was just sprinkled in the story, just like the gauntlet with the aged maester.
They all attacked me. She threw lion's tooth in the river. I heard him say lion's tooth and guffaw once more. And the sword sword we see two men smashed together in a cage, one with their tongue missing. Jerem is showing us the warg relationship in a symbolic way. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're about out of time now that we've. That we managed to kill the last 10 minutes and your battery didn't die.
Specifically,
I got Hilton lion's tooth is what they were after. It's very similar to Longclaw. Okay, and doesn't Arya call it lion's paw or something? Yeah, that's a lie. Arya squirmed in Horn's grip. It was me. I hit Joffrey and threw lion's paw in the river. Like I just ran away. Like I told him.
All right, I like that. Okay. Let's see real quick. Friday is.
It's John 9. It's the one where well, it's the one where Alex shows up, but it's also the one where where Florent is like claiming that he's gonna. I don't quite get John's reaction because he's like convinced that Florent knows that he can't produce Val, but then Florent claims that he could have Val produced, and John's like, that would be a trick, right? Lion's paw, long claw, cat's paw, it's all coming together.
There you go. All right. Well, right there at the hour mark. I know. I like that. Lion's paw, long claw, cat.
Yeah, and the cat's paw dagger versus versus. Okay, yeah. Boom.
All right. Yeah, I'm like 3% now. We will see y'all Friday for John 9. Thank y'all for joining us here. And y'all take care, have fun, and be good. Bye. Bye, Richard.
Oh, Kirsty showed up at the end.